Welcome back to Space Diesel. It's been a while, and I was thinking of setting this up as a case, as the judge with the grudge, but instead, this is going to be an episode of Space Diesel. Now, usually this show concerns spiritual matters. And it would if we're past sort of what we're going through right now. But I've noticed a lot of harassment on the part of, I would guess, the gangs and sort of the mafia. We don't really know what the mafia is. It's an ambiguous term, but it's a bunch of gangs and organizations and things like that. So, and there's the thug mafia as well. And I think there's also the psychic mafia or the psychic mob. I don't know if it's one and the same. So lately I've been seeing a lot of harassment and social experiments. There's a lot of places that I know conduct social experiments, and when you go there, people will deliberately do things that are interfering. I don't know what the hell they're doing or what the hell they're looking for, because in clinical therapy, psychotherapy, it's unethical to do these experiments. It's unethical to do experiments on people that are uninformed about what's going on. So you need informed consent when you do these experiments. So these are unethical experiments that they do. And they just look for reactions. They look to get your goat. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do, what results they want, and I do discredit the research 100%, because it wouldn't be academically sound, it wouldn't lead to anything, and I wouldn't support it 100%. But this has happened to me on numerous occasions throughout my life, on jobs. So I'm set up with jobs, I sort of am pigeonholed into certain jobs, certain ways, using the influence of the psychic internet. And then people show up that I don't necessarily wouldn't otherwise deal with or engage with, that sort of get, if you will, get free Wi-Fi off of me, as you would say, because as a psychic, I guess I have more material than I know about going on and more connection than I know about. So people try to get my Wi-Fi. People try to be around me. And I really don't like that. I'm a hermit. And I probably have a long history of being a Taoist, living in some cave somewhere, apart from people, and keeping myself apart from pressures like that, because no one would usually willfully want that. Very social people might be okay with it, but I don't think anybody really wants to be surrounded by people, harassed by people, and never given money. Like they take your shit and they take your time, and you never get compensated for any of this. But there's 3 discount grocery stores in this area, grocery outlet. And one case in particular, there's this guy, he dresses in all FDNY stuff. And he's not a New York firefighter, but he has a ring and stuff that they gave him because he was around the premises at the time, that day, 9/11, and he was working for the Red Cross, and so I don't know. I don't know what he was doing there. I suppose he went there, but he says he was there before the fact, and he also claims responsibility for the whole 9/11 incident. So I can't, especially if I was a judge in a court of law, I'm not going to allow anybody to do that. This might be an attachment, like in therapy, this might be an attachment, somebody taking responsibility for something that they really don't have to do with, or maybe he actually did infiltrate it as the psychic that it set it up or something. In any case, I met this guy at a place I was working at, and I might have stayed working there if he didn't quit and come back. But he did quit and come back. If he had quit and remained away from the business, I might have been okay with the job, but I just didn't like his vibes. Um, he said at one point that he's a gay guy. I really don't care about this information. It's not information that I particularly need. Um, but anyway, that he said that he has AIDS, that he has all these afflictions. He told me all his afflictions, that he has all these various different diseases and conditions. Well, uh, I just feel like he's purposefully planted himself here. Another thing is that he's a neighbor. He's a close neighbor. So it's as if he was stalking me and he appeared around here um, for one reason or another. And so uh, a while goes by and I don't see the guy. Maybe I see his car, right? A ratty old car. And I see his car, maybe. But then I go to the grocery outlet, my favorite location, and he's working there. And he rings me up. And he, like, had no recognition. Acted as though he had no recognition. Then I called him out. I said, Michael, my former coworker, neighbor, is that you? He's like, yeah. Shrugs it off, and he tells me how much I saved and gives me this huge guilt trip about being around him because he carries all this pain. A lot of it would seem to be pain that he induced. So, like, I realize I can't go to my favorite grocery outlet anymore. Okay? Because that guy's there. I'm not going to do anything. And that's not the only thing that happened in that area or with that store that made me feel that there's a gang wanting me to keep out of that turf. All right? Because I come from the area of the country known for the Bloods, so I'm thereby categorized as a Blood by the Crips here on the West Coast, even though I'm neither, and I don't participate in gangs, and I don't care for gangs. Like, if you transplant yourself in the country somewhere else, you can run over this sort of thing. So I started going to the other grocery outlet location, which I call the family store, because there's a family parking space there. It's unusual to have that. I haven't seen a family parking spot before. So I call this the family store. And every time I go there, they set some shit up. Some guy with a grocery outlet shirt, the same guy, like when I start shopping, comes out as if he's coming in as a customer from wherever, comes into the store, and like, he's a mean looking dude. And he like starts spying me and shit, and so that's one thing. And then random customers will just walk around. Like yesterday, there was this random lady just walking around, and I was looking in the frozen section for vegan items. And like, she's walking slowly and staring, and I'm like, okay, I'm in her way, so I sort of like leave the section, knowing immediately that this is mafia tactics, that this is the mafia type of mentality, but this is the mafia. And then there's a guy with his dog in the store. It's not a service animal. This type of dog would not be categorized as a service animal. So I'm really getting irritated. First of all, I hate dogs. But when you bring dogs into a store, especially when it's not a service animal, and you use that ploy that you can get away with it because it's a service animal and you can bring any pet you want anywhere, now it's very irritating. So the guy was walking around talking to his dog, come here, stop you, or whatever, very irritating. And then this other broad comes and like, I think I'm in her way or something. And then later during my shopping, it doesn't appear that she has a cart or that she's looking for anything in particular, or that she's even shopping, but like kept getting in my way. and like rattled me so much that she prevented me from picking stuff up that I wanted. Like forgot the bagels, right? I forgot the sprouted bagels. I would enjoy sprouted bagels, but because of people like this distracting me and irritating me, there's no bagels. So one thing I've come to uh, realize is that you really shouldn't get in the way of a Jew and their bagels, especially a Jew and his bagels. You should not get in the way. And so I consider that somewhat a hate offense, somewhat, you know, just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, who are these people? I call them glipnoids, okay? People that are kind of like thugs or like bumpkins. They have bad teeth. They have shitty vehicles from the 90s or before. They have hoopties. They drive junk hoopties, right? They're kleptos. They go into places and they steal things. They're vandals. They scribble graffiti on the wall, and they're shoplifters and they're thieves. You know, and anybody that's a crook, really, anybody that's fits one or more of those descriptions, I call glipnoid. I don't know what the fuck they are, and I guess that's the word that came from the Tao universe or the psychic internet. But as when I post these videos, I know that you all are watching. There's 1,000 pairs of eyes that I don't know about. People watch these videos without logging in, and I don't think I get credit for that. And they watch these videos vicariously when I'm recording them by remotely viewing me, and I do want them away from me. I am really tired of being remotely viewed and monitored and having my life set up by a criminal group of people that I would otherwise have no affiliation or association with. And this is pretty much this part and parcel with the same group of graduate students that set up my mental illness, that staged a fake mental illness on my part that made me appear mentally ill multiple times, like 7 times, and go to hospitals and spend 2 weeks or more there, and like lose jobs and lose cars in the process, and just my life would get fucked up every time. And they're here too. They're in this apartment building. They're my neighbors. They occupy vacant apartments here, and like I just heard them, they're knocking around, listening. I don't know why that they can hear me in my own personal apartment, because I can't personally hear people in other apartments unless they're really loud, and usually that happens when they're outside, they're laughing, and that, I'm really irritated about hearing their noise, by the way, as well. But this has to stop, and like if it weren't for 5 years of mental illness, I would have been an established acupuncturist had I reached my goals, and I probably would have been. Probably would have passed the boards and spent a few years already as an acupuncturist in practice. And one of the things about me is that I would have been really generous and given people a good deal and a good value. I would have started with community acupuncture, because I started with community acupuncture as a patient, and it's affordable, and you get treated with other people in the same area. And if it wasn't for these blockages, I think that I would have achieved a lot more. Maybe law school, maybe some political power, maybe some political office. So as it is, I'm still running for my local city council district, but I'm really kind of sensitive right now about being in the public eye. Even for me to record videos like this might be counterintuitive. could increase the harassment, the social experimentation that occurs around me, and the number of glipnoid vehicles, or like hoopties, or like old cars that are around me. And there's a presence here in Seattle of people that beg on the medians of the highway with flying signs, and there's people that live in RVs, old RVs here, and they're all operators. They're all racketeers. You know what I'm saying? They all have trap houses set up in those RVs, and they perpetrate crimes. But the Seattle police are not allowed to harass them. They're not allowed to give them tickets for being there, fines. They're not allowed to ask them to leave or stop parking there. They just get unlimited time there under their present policy. So the police cannot do their jobs knowing that when something like that shows up, it's a trap house. It's the beginning of a lot of crimes that are going to be perpetrated, and you can even see that they have stolen property around their vehicles, but they can't. That property cannot be retrieved, I suppose. So this is essentially the mafia. This is gangs, smaller gangs like that. This is organized crime. This is what's the other thing that is? Well, anyway, this is like Freemasons. Yes, it might even be Freemasons, all Freemasons as well. Somehow I find that affiliation is kind of satanic, is attached to all this other shit, and drives all this other shit, and gives people the disposition to do this, and sort of the know-how on the psychic side about how to infiltrate people psychically and mess up their lives. So that's the opposition. It's very clear. I'm doing as much as I can to stay out of the public eye. All my employment so far has mostly been involving large amounts of public interface, and I'm trying to reduce that. When I had a recent less public job with fewer people would still call for me, knowing who I am, and harass me, and sometime, and that does happen in the industry. People will call and hang up and stuff like that. So I've had jobs as a security guard where I'm placed specifically, purposefully at a door location with an airlock, which bangs every freaking time someone opens and closes the door. So it's very irritating. My hearing is pretty good, and when I am sitting there being harassed by this constantly slamming door with an airlock, that's not even the appropriate entrance. It's not even set up for that. It's not even set up for a lot of people to use, and that's what they ended up doing. So I'm very aware of jobs that go out of their way because they're mob, to mess people up, mess good people up. I'm very aware of mob jobs that purposefully get rid of people, have them quit, planned resignation, and things like that, because they're good people and they're considered spies from the eyes of the mafia, because they might turn them in, they might report stuff, they might be a whistleblower. So even though the whistleblower law protects that, they don't care. They're the mob, so they're just gonna run you out if they want to set up a monopoly in that workplace. And there's a lot of those. And so I don't know what we're really gonna do. I feel like we're safe as spirits. I feel like the good people with integrity are a lot stronger than the glyphnoids, that they're a small faction of people. They might also be the Anunnaki, or descendants of them, or the present day incarnations of them. But and there's that movie with the red eyes. I think it's called the The Wonderful World or something. That movie supposedly explains all of this shit, so I'm gonna have to watch that movie. But it's like little aliens with red eyes that infiltrate people with their minds and shit like that. So I'm gonna have to look at that. But as I understand it, truth and justice always prevail beyond this. So they have the upper hand now, or appear to, and they are denser in numbers than good people here today on Earth. But I believe that pretty soon we'll either get help from outside, such as the Universal Light Army, which I believe is a real organization, or, we'll figure it out. I also know that there's alien, on top of everything else, an alien race has descended here. There are about, I guess, like 13 or 17 buildings, such as the Space Needle, that have that structure, and you can see a visual list of them online. But those buildings, in my opinion, would all accommodate like space landings. And I did see spacecraft that looked like the Enterprise in Star Trek descending in 2015. I don't know who it was. I believe it was the Venusian race. Okay, and according to people like Omnek, who claims she's from that planet, although she says that she took over a human body when she came here, which tells you a little bit about what they can do psychically. But she says that they've destroyed their planet, that it's uninhabitable. And of course, scientists claim that, well, none of these planets are inhabitable to begin with. You look at them and with a telescope, and you can say, well, these are hot as fuck, hot as hell, or cold as hell, or they're just gas and there's no atmosphere and there's no life and there's no way for life to exist there and no water. But that's bullshit. That's the old regime. That's the status quo, making stories to keep us from knowing the truth. That's conspiracy. Okay. But I've told you what I know, and I guess it's everyone for themselves and the army of one. I did want to be in the army because at the time I was growing up, they used the army of one, and before that they used be all you can be as their recruiting motto, and I wanted to be an army of one, and I wanted to be all I could be, especially against a system like this. However, because the military is so corrupt and interwoven with those organizations, it's become those organizations and those gangs. So you can't get in unless they want you to get in, and usually then they can get you killed. If they want to get you killed, they'll have you shipped to combat, and you'll come back in a box if they want you to. So I guess just use Taoism, be strong. The Tao Te Ching helps, and of course the art of war helps to build defenses. Also, Qigong and martial arts, these help build the defenses. As far as psychic defenses, well, I really want to take a course in remote viewing so that I can set that up, so that I can be more aware of the methods used to see with my eyes, because I don't want anyone else but perhaps the God Force to monitor me. And I'll make every effort to get rid of them, to stop them from tracking my activities. My mother is clever. She never made an online transaction with a debit card, ever. She doesn't shop online. She'll call one of us and say, "Can you order me this thing?" And I don't do that for her. I stopped doing that. I refuse to do that. But if she wants to order from Amazon, let her start using her debit card. But she's smart because they don't track you. And of course, if she watches YouTube, she doesn't log in. That doesn't help creators like me. Um, I don't think those views even get logged, and it's considered a form of harassment as well. I know you're out there doing it, a lot of you, because I get 3 views, 5 views here and there, and these are compelling videos that have a lot of truth and a lot of information in them, and some of them are entertaining, some of them are educational. It's not like my content is absolute shit. Now, I do sort of film it in a very amateur way, and I don't bother editing it. I don't put in a thumbnail to make it pretty, and I don't really get out there and make good material, though I think that the Judge with a Grudge material is really good, although I've been kept from having good equipment to film it with, and I guess it sucks in that regard. So it has bad audio every time, which is just the infiltration of the opponent, keeping us back. Conspiracy against us, okay? When they raided the Capitol, right, with kind of the authority of the president, the Red faction and the Republicans, who fit into this category as, the primary offender of and primary perpetrator of all this, although it's hard to tell who they are. Is it the mafia? Is it the Red faction or the rebels or the right wing or what? There's so many of them, but we just have to be vigilant. We have to be strong. I wouldn't suggest smoking marijuana, using drugs or alcohol, because all these things which affect your mind can make you vulnerable to attack. So sort of like, bolster up your immunity, and that prevents attack. Also, keep cool. Make sure your temperature is well regulated. Drink water, stuff like that. People, just normal stuff. And don't be vulnerable to attack in any way, just physically or mentally. And with that, you can start to put your shields up. It seems like today, what you think is going to be a good experience, like you'll go on a cruise or you'll take a vacation in the Bahamas, is going to be infiltrated by this group of nonsense people. Now, we do attract our vibes. Our vibes attract our tribe, for one thing. So if the tribe I'm with sucks, is glipnoid, then I guess that's my vibe. First of all, I should shave, should brush my teeth a lot more, and stuff. So self-care is important. And then, of course, your thought hygiene. Like, in order to get this type of attention, in order to be shadow banned, but also like irritated by all these people around me who find a way to be around me, perhaps because they come from the future and they have plenty of money doing so. So as time travelers, they can occupy spaces around me, or they can show up because the past, every moment of the past is known to the future, especially if it's monitored so highly later, and such records are kept. So, they can appear in the grocery store, they can appear in an elevator, they can get you. The important thing is, have good hygiene. I am going to shave. I do believe that's better, healthier, and keeps them away. It is Hungry Ghost Month, which is August. We also have that same thing in the U.S. in October. So all of October and all of August and possibly September, which is my month, when I was born as a Virgo. So mainly just August and October, but both Hungry Ghost Month, both, vulnerable to attack. So don't do anything like, especially during these times, right? The party you think you're gonna have is usually just gonna give you trouble, 9 times out of 10. Like, you think you're gonna have a good time, and you think you're just gonna have a couple of drinks or something, or I don't know, look at a porno or something, and you think you're going to have a good time. But what ends up happening is an increase in the harassment, is people that you don't want to be around you being around you, like disfigured people, or like, people that smell really bad, or like the kind of homeless that I'm talking about that are in these gangs that harass people that may not even be truly homeless, or definitely not suffering as much as they appear to be, come and block your good time, you know? So that's all I'm saying. Just, just use common sense, and especially during these times, if you're seeing these things, especially, don't do what you normally do. And you may even have to change professions. A lot of front-facing professions that pay a lot, like bus driver, pay a lot because of the stress and harassment that you get. Because you have so many eyes on you if you're a bus driver. You have at least 55 eyes within the bus. And then, that's if it's a full bus. And then, you have all the motorists and people around you, outside, watching you. So I have been interested in CDL work, but I'm kind of hypersensitive and hypervigilant when I do consider those things, because I don't want to put myself in harm's way. And I think that a lot of the time I've given you a lot too many details here on the internet. So that just goes to that whole network, and they do log these things and keep track of them. So ultimately, for me, it would suit me best to stop being so vocal and stop vocalizing all these things. But I wanted to share with you the truth and let you let you figure out any conspiracies. If you are good people, if you're not part of this, if you don't want part of this, and if you see it going on around you, give you some tips to stop them from hijacking you, to stop them from getting you, and to stop them from giving you malware and negative thoughts and negative energy, which brings you down, prevents you from reaching your goals, prevents your manifestation, holds you back, and everything. But then we go into the manifestation aspect, and we realize that if we listen to those solfeggio healing tones, like 417 hertz and 174 hertz tones, in the moment, we feel irritated. We go through the motions, we go through it, but we go through it on a smaller scale, on a controlled basis, and when we're done with it, it helps us be a lot clearer. So I do think those tones work for negativity. And a lot of the negativity comes from our lives and memories. So rather than working from memory, we should visualize what we want. What kind of property do I want? Okay, a property on a lake. Okay, what about the property contains the whole lake? So it's a small lake, and it's a pond, and it's within my whole property. Or what about stuff like that? And then you can actually look at particular properties that exist. Like I started looking at new age resorts properties, retreat centers that exist, that are for sale. And there are a few. And now, of course, they might try to sell it to you with a chef employed that they don't want you to get rid of. But of course, I would cut the chef. I would cut any of their staff. I would not because that's the rebel mafia. I don't need to purchase a property from them and have remnants of them. The other thing you can do is develop these properties yourself. There's land available. There's plenty of it available. So the manifestation side is, rather than align yourself with what's going on, be aware of it. Yes, it's important to be aware of it as part of waking up as a spirit, and you're going to be aware of it. The more you wake up, the more you'll be aware of these things and the slights and offenses, and your spirit is keeping track of that. You don't have to bother with it. But when you see that, like when you see someone harassing you in the grocery store, maybe go out of your way to ignore them. Like like those bagels, rather than being disturbed or distracted by this irritating woman and her thoughts. I could have just grabbed the bagels. Like, F you. Like, I don't care that you're here to bug me or monitor me, not even shopping. I'm just going to get my bagels. I don't fucking care. So don't let them get to you, and use those inner resources, those inner riches. The Tao abides. The Tao always abides, and the more you attract what you really want by thinking about what you want instead of what you've been through, and with the understanding that you have it already, that's already on the way, the brighter it will be for you, the less of this you'll have to put up with it. In terms of that, like, this will drive your visions. Like, yes, clearly you need some acreage and some property away from people. Clearly you need possibly even a fence around your house within the property. Maybe a fence around the premises, But rather than thinking about what you want to keep away, the dogs and the people out there that make noise and everything, and the traffic, that because you opened your window and vented this AC, you can hear now, especially when the AC's off. Like, instead of that, think about the vision. What would replace this? Okay, a 400-acre property, a retreat center, which I can run my nonprofit at. My Blue Buddha Dharma and Tao Association can become a monastery, right? Can become a retreat center. So we can think of that, rather than think of this. We can think of the replacement. So in 5 years' time, I'm pretty certain I can shake him, I can get rid of him, I can make space around me. I will no longer be paying over $1,000 for a dumpy mafia place that's infiltrated by these people, and very close quarters with them. But I will select my neighborhood, my location carefully. People will not be able to get to me without, going through some roads and making a trek, and essentially being honest type of people in order to cross the crossings and get to my location. And hopefully they would be expected. So, see where I'm coming from. A long past as a hermit, preferring to keep within my family. My wife from a different tribe, but not being infiltrated by, like, her people, not being, vulnerable to other people that we don't know. So, like the Buddhas, right, and Bodhisattvas, probably thousands of millennia in an insular location, and now I'm just like aghast and chagrined to be in the public world again, when I am not used to being in a public world to begin with, right? Usually a private planet, a private heavenly realm, where you call the shots, the red faction doesn't exist, and we share and care, and it's not about enemies and fighting and all that. So immediately, what I know I'm going to do is shave my face, brush my teeth, and eat lunch, and definitely care for myself. And I haven't really been disturbed in the last 10 minutes that I've been making these goals, these objectives, these intentions, setting these intentions. So that's important too. Thanks for watching another episode of Space Diesel if you did get this far, and I do congratulate you if you did. I suppose even if you're on the opposing faction, there might be something in you that wants exactly what I want, and doesn't need to be against me. So if you got this far, it may not be 100% against me. Anyway, thank you.